Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of our Community Access. This week we will visit with Pastor Bob Service, who has married 1,000 weddings. That is incredible. Then we visit with the Lester Memorial Golf Outing, all today in our Community Access. Welcome back. That's right, Pastor Bob Service is my big brother, and I'm pretty proud of him. Last Sunday, he married a couple for Bob's 1,000th wedding, and it all started at the Oakwood Community Church. With the story is our reporter, Terry Stiles. Terry?
Hi, Bill. You know who this is, and I know 80% of the people in Oxford, Brandon, and Hadley knows who I'm sitting with right now. I am with Pastor Bob Service. He has 42 years in at the Oakwood Community Church. You retired in 42 years, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you have another really great number that I think is really hard to beat. Pastor Bob just performed his 1,000th, that's so hard for me to say,
yes,
wedding, looking at 1,001.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Good, thank you.
That is such an accomplishment to know so many generations in a community.
Yes.
Tell me, first of all, let's talk about the church.
Okay.
So you started at that church, right? Right out of
Yeah, 2 weeks
Detroit
before,
Bible College,
yeah,
correct?
2 weeks before I graduated, I went on Mother's Day in 1966 to fill in, and then they decided to bring me on as the pastor, so I've been there ever since.
They had kind of a rough start. It was just 12 people in
Yes,
that
we had 12 adults when I went there.
congregation?
Yes.
Wow. And you met your wife at that church.
I met her while I was at the church 10 years after I was there.
So basically your entire adult life has been serving these communities, Oxford, Hadley. Do you have some Goodrich
Yes.
people there too?
Yes.
So everybody in the community knows who you are. This is not your first generation of weddings.
No, it isn't. No. Now I'm doing weddings of children of the people that I did their weddings, and so that's really a lot of fun.
So what did that mean to you to be able to perform that 1,000th wedding?
Well, I was a little nervous.
After that many weddings?
Well, because CJ was there from the Oxford leader, and so I had that pressure. But I'm always a little nervous because I don't want to mess it up. So I want to get everything straight. Don't want to mess up the names or anything. So I'm always a little nervous, even with 1,000 weddings.
Well, so what's the most disastrous thing that's happened at a wedding?
Oh, the one really big one was this big man, big groom, during the candle lighting, table behind, and he's leaning over the table to light the candle, and he passed out.
Oh my goodness.
Fell right on the table. And so I pulled him off to the side and laid him down on the floor, and his wife started screaming. She thought he died, and that was pretty good.
Well, how do you as a pastor bring that back together?
Well, I realized that he came to as soon as he hit the floor, and so then he got up and we finished the wedding, and during the pictures he passed out again.
Well, had he not eaten that day or something?
That was the problem.
That
I
was
said,
the
have you
problem.
been eating? He said, no, I haven't had anything to eat or drink all day. I didn't want to do anything, and so that's what happened.
What is the most heartwarming wedding that you've performed? What one stands out the most?
I've had some really, really nice ones. Another fun one was I did one at the over on Bliss Drive, and the bride and groom were in the basket of a hot air balloon. So when I introduced you as Mr. and Mrs., the hot air balloon took off, and other wedding party and parents took off in hot air balloons. That was really a fun thing.
I bet that was unusual to see.
Yes.
Wow, how exciting. Well, so then everybody else partied on without him, right?
That's right. Yeah, I imagine they came back. I didn't stick around, but they came. Yes, it was fun.
You have any other fun stories of weddings?
With so many of them, it's hard to imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the most unusual wedding you performed?
That was probably the most unusual. I've done them at the beach,
Oh, that's fun.
where I told him I was not going to wear a swimsuit because I have ugly legs, and so I've done them pretty much everywhere, in parks and beach, at people's homes, and so they're many unusual.
Large and small.
Yes, very big.
So I heard you tell a story of one that you performed at a prison.
Oh yes, that
But
that
that
would be
was a
unusual.
long-lasting relationship after that.
Yes, I still meet with the groom about every other week, and he was in when he got out of prison. I visited him in prison after I did the wedding, and then when he got out, we became friends anyway. So now he lives north of Detroit, so we meet every other week for lunch, so I can keep track of him because we became friends. And then I did another prison wedding up in the UP, and about 5 years ago.
So is there any limitation as far as distance? Do you just stay around here? Or
No, I go out of state. I guess the longest distance was I did one in Pennsylvania
Oh my goodness.
for one of my wife's nephews,
Oh, okay.
and so.
So tell me a bit about the people of your church. Let's talk about them a little bit. They sound pretty darn dedicated.
Yeah, it's pretty much it's kind of a family thing. You know, starting out with 12 adults, and then it kept growing from there. So we had it was an old schoolhouse, and we remodeled that, and then after 10 years we outgrew that, so we had to add to it, and then in 2002 we had to build a new building because we got up to over 200 people and 2 services, so we built a bigger building. And now with the new pastor and associate pastor, it's growing more, so now we have over 300 people, so we have 2 services again now. During the summer we go to 1, but it's still a family atmosphere. Everybody is just like at home. It's really nice.
So it just is a family that keeps on growing.
It is, yeah.
Well, so I know quite a bit about your background because Bill is your brother. But what I did not know till just recently is that your mother, Lena,
Yes,
is it Magdalena?
Magdalena.
What a beautiful name.
Magdalena Waldecker.
What a name. She, of course, was from Germany.
Yes.
She came over here as a nanny, correct?
Yes, yes.
And then she started a Sunday school
Yes,
in your small home.
Yeah, we had Sunday school in our house. We lived in Bloomfield Hills, and the nearest churches they were these big, huge churches.
Sure.
And so the kids that rode our bus, they would come in the wintertime and meet in our kitchen because we see the bus coming from a half mile away. And every morning we'd have a little devotional, and they didn't know what that was. And so my mom says, "Do you kids go to church any?" Well, what's church? And she said, "Would you come here if I had Sunday school on Sunday morning?" We'd love to. So she started with that and ended up with over 30 kids in our little house every Sunday morning. And pretty nice.
Yeah, so that's where your spirituality came from, was your mother.
Yes, yes.
And so has it ever occurred to you that you've done the same thing that your mother did?
That's a good thought, because I guess basically it is, starting out with just a few and then building it up to what we have now. It's been very exciting. So it's hard to step back and let somebody else do it. So, but now
Right.
I do the weddings, and a lot of weddings and funerals and nursing home and jail and all that kind of thing.
So you're ministering to people in nursing home, the beginning of life. You've done baptisms, I'm sure, all the way to end of life.
Yes.
Are you at a point now you're ministering to people that are at the end of life that you know them? Or
And
you've known them throughout your life?
Yes, and that's sometimes very difficult to say farewell to a friend.
Right.
And but it's something I would hope I would be the one instead of them going someplace else, because I've known them so long.
Right, so you're there to give that family strength.
That's true.
Because you're not just somebody performing a ritual and done with it. You're there through the entire thing.
Yes.
You're a familiar face.
Yes.
Uncle Bob kind of face.
And I've done the funerals for, I think there's one left out of the 12 people that were there when I came to the church.
Oh my.
Yeah, she lives in Tennessee. I just did her husband's funeral about 3 years ago.
And so you've lived in this community since
Well, we
graduated?
Yeah, we moved up after I graduated, and Bill was still in school at Goodrich, and when we moved up here, just around the corner from where I live now. And so we've lived here a long time.
So what has been the most difficult part of your journey?
I think when somebody tells me I don't know what I'm doing. I've had a couple of people just tell me that you're really wrong, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're talking about, and then they come back and I guess I was wrong or something. Yeah. When I tried to counsel a young person and who really got into trouble and their parents didn't know about it, and then the parents come to me and say, "What are you doing with my son? What did you do?" And I didn't know how they found out about it, but then they chew me out for trying to help their son or their daughter who was getting in trouble, sexually or with drinking or something.
Right.
Because no, my son doesn't do that. Well, they don't know.
Yeah.
But I do, so.
And so it turns out right in the end, I'm sure.
Yes, it does. When the kids say, "No, the pastor was right. You just didn't know what I was doing," so it works out. Yeah.
So initially when you started out at the church, you didn't have a youth pastor.
No, I did it.
That was your job.
Yes.
You didn't have a janitor.
Right.
You had your congregation only that did help you do the maintenance on the building.
I pretty much did it. Yeah. I cleaned the church and took care of the youth, and I did it all. Before me, the 4 pastors from 54 until 66, they just came on Sunday morning and preached, and that was it. When I came, I said, I'm going to be full-time because I was single, and they said, well, how much is this going to cost? Which is kind of interesting, because I paid $25 a week, and then they put it back in the offering because they worked in the factory. And I said, well, I'm going to need a little bit more because I need gas money, which was 25 cents a gallon back then. And so I said, I need $30 a week, and I don't know if we can do that. They said it was really fun. And so we didn't have any problem with it.
Well, I think faith carried everybody through on that one.
Oh yeah, it's been a really exciting life. And I'm still going to keep on going because I have a lot to do.
So you have a lot of more weddings ahead of you.
I do.
Hopefully not that many funerals.
I have 5 more weddings yet scheduled for this year.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Do you ever take a vacation?
We used to. We usually get away for a week or 2.
Let's talk a little bit about Janella, your wife.
Oh wow, yes, love to.
She didn't just stand back and watch everything happen, right?
Oh no, she's been very active in women's ministry and just doing a lot of things, and I guess she's probably the one that keeps me going because she prays a lot. I don't take a lot of time to pray, which is terrible, but she does a lot, and so yeah, she's been. I don't know how I made it 10 years, my first 10 years single. It's hard to believe I made it without her.
It was harder than having her around, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you ever sit back and reflect on how many lives you've touched and improved and helped them sustain whatever trials and tribulations that they've gone through?
I do think about it a lot, but mostly it's people that I'll see in a restaurant or at a wedding or at a funeral, and they'll talk to me about, do you remember when you did this and when you helped me with this? And that it always keeps me reminding me of what I have done, and that it's how rewarding it is to be able to help somebody, because I'm a people person, and so if I can do anything to help anybody, that's what I want to do. And when they reward you, it's really nice. The wedding I did Saturday, it was so nice because the bride's father gave me the check for the wedding, and then after the ceremony, he handed me an envelope, and I says, you've already paid me. And he said, this is something for your 1,000th wedding. And so I opened it up, and he put more money in there for me. But he says, you just helped the kids so much through this ceremony and everything, and made them so comfortable. I just wanted to reward you. So the rewards are nice words and little money now and then. Anything that, it's been a rewarding thing. Very seldom that people give me a hard time.
There's a lot to be said for the strength that you gain from the confidence from others.
Yes.
But there's a lot of responsibility with that as well.
Yes, oh yes.
Sustaining that responsibility had to have been one
I
of your hardest.
I take it very seriously because I'm serving God, and if I mess up, I feel that I've disappointed Him. It's like my Heavenly Father. I don't want to do anything to disappoint Him, just like I wouldn't want to do anything to disappoint my earthly parents.
But you also know He's guiding you.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes.
So on that note, let's just talk a little bit about the roof, when you had to put the roof on the
Oh, boy.
on the original church.
Yes. Yes, there was this old schoolhouse, and first thing we had to do was something about the roof, because I walked in there, and when this couple, Ray and Wanda, sold, and Wanda's the living one yet, we walked into the building, and it was a 2-room schoolhouse, so there was a wall separating in 2 rooms, and the floor had sagged so much it was like 2 or 3 inches. The mice ran from the opening room underneath the floor to get out of our way, and then we go and look into the worship center, and the roof was leaking. They had buckets all around.
Oh my gosh.
And the plaster ceiling was falling down. And I don't want to come here. You know, getting out of college. Do I want to start here? Yeah,
God has a good sense of humor.
I guess
right?
so. Yes. And so then when I came, I said, we have to do something about this roof right away. So the roof had roll roofing, then wood shingles, and then shingles on top of that. So we got the guys together. I said, on Monday we're going to start tearing the old roof off. It can't rain the rest of the week. So we prayed that it wouldn't rain. So we tore all that. We did one side. We tore it all off. And then on Saturday, you guys come, and the ladies brought food, so we have something to eat. We came, and storm was all around us.
Oh my gosh.
When we got the last shingle on and got off the ladders, it started pouring.
Wow.
Same thing,
Yeah.
very same thing happened next week. We did the other half
Side
of the roof. Side 2. And the same thing, no rain during the week. We got off the roof and it started pouring. And so things like that, I knew this is where I should be, because there was kind of a sign to me, this is where you should be, because God blessed us from that point on. So
Absolutely.
it's been great.
And we're grateful that you've been here. There's so many people I talk to over and over again that knows who you are.
Yes.
You've touched their lives in some way or another that's made it better.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've made your brother's life fun.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, that's really nice to know. And it's nice to know that you're not done.
Right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I did 2 baccalaureate services at Oxford High School too, and one of them was when my son graduated from high school, which was really nice. So
now, your son Matt,
yes.
correct?
Uh-huh.
And he lives up north.
In Traverse City.
And 2 granddaughters.
Yes, 2 granddaughters.
Do you see him often enough?
Not enough.
Of course.
No, we think of moving up there, but I don't know if that will happen.
Well, I think the whole community would grab you all by the ankles and say, please don't.
Well, Anne Marie at the wedding chapel says, you can't move. Who's going to do my weddings?
So that's where you do them all, but you also do them at Oakwood Church as well. And do you minister at the church very often now?
I have small group ministry, small group Bible studies and things like that. So.
Well, thank you for doing everything that you've done, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for asking me.
And
this has been good.
congratulations, that's really
I
an
know.
exciting...
I probably won't make 2,000, but I'm starting.
You could give it a try.
I'll give it a try.
Everybody call him and do the wedding.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Congrats, bro. By the way, this week we will be bearing Bob's life on a program called My Life every day this week, Monday to Friday at 10 and 2. Don't miss it. Next up, we went to the Roy and Buddy Lester Memorial Golf Outing. The event was a couple of weeks ago, but we still wanted to show the event.
This is the 20th annual Roy and Bud Lester Memorial Golf Event, Golf Memorial. It really started about 25 years ago. My cousin, Randy Scott, had a plan to just get the family members together, go out and golf, just get a few of us together for golf and have a good time. At that point, my Uncle Roy and my father were both alive. And then my Uncle Roy passed, again, 20 years ago of lung cancer. We got together the next year, and at the end of the event, we all pitched in a couple bucks, threw it in a hat, and we donated to American Cancer Society. That year, I think it was about $100. And then from there, it's just grown. So today, 20 years later, we pack Oxford Hills. We've got 144 golfers here. Since then, I also lost my father to lung cancer 10 years ago, so it's now called the Roy and Bud Lester Memorial. The big deal about this outing is there is no big corporate sponsorship. It is literally just a bunch of friends and family, and word has spread, and just getting together one day, and we say to take time to fight cancer. So since that time, and since that 1 year we raised $100, we now usually raise anywhere between $6,000 and $8,000. And over the course of the last 20 years, we've raised $80,000. The other thing we do, and we started about 10 years ago, is we also have what's called a special honoree. For the last 10 years, we've chosen a special honoree. It's an individual. Most of the time, it's kids. And really what happens is during the year, somebody that's part of the event will call me and say, hey, do you have an honoree for this year? And then we say, yep, no problem. We get a hold of them, we get their story. And then at the end of this event, we'll take some of the money and donate it directly to the honoree. So again, this has really started from something very small to now 144 people, and it's a really big deal. And the special part of this whole thing is really it's friends and family. And when we look out in the crowd, and we all have a common bond, even though we don't see each other during the year, we literally get together for this one day. That common bond is really to fight cancer. So it's a real special event. For the past 10, 15 years, we've packed this place. Today we had a full field. We had 144 golfers. And really over that time frame, I always say this, we don't have, a huge corporate sponsor. We don't do a lot of advertising. Literally, it was just word of mouth. And the family, the Lester family, has become extended with everybody in this room. So as I look around here, there's a lot of people that have been here for 15, 16, 17, 20 years. A lot of people that aren't even part of the Lester family. And also as I look around here, I see a lot of folks that the reason they're here is they have lost their uncle, their dad, their mother, their sister, their brother, their daughter, their son to cancer. So this is what this outing's about, and this is why this outing is different than most, because we're just a bunch of families, and the thing that I send out every year says take time, take one day to come out and play golf and have fun and raise some money for the American Cancer Society, and that's what we've done. 10 years ago, we decided that we are going to make a direct impact to some families, and those are up here. Most of those are up here as well. I didn't get a lot of updated pictures. I did get this year's honorees. The latest is Brett Beezer, and Brett is 34 years old. He is married. He lives in the Bay City area, and last October Brett went in, thought he had a hernia, and through several tests and so forth, 6 weeks later he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. My nephew called me up several weeks ago and said, hey, have you got an honoree yet? And I said no. So we took his name, and as I always do, I call him up. As you know, a lot of our honorees are kids, no less, 5, 2 years old, 10 years old, but certainly 34 is devastating as well. And so when I got on the phone with him, it was like I was talking to one of my buddies. It was, hey, what's going on? And it was amazing. it was amazing. The other thing that makes us pretty unique is I don't know Brett. We don't know Brett. A lot of our honorees, none of us know. But the fact of the matter is, we don't really need to know the individual. All we need to know is what they're going through, and we've all done that. So that's what makes this real special. So Brett couldn't be here today, but he did say thank you very much. He's very touched by the fact that we would do this without even knowing him. So we will follow up with him next week. I think there's one that's here. Nick Davis, right? Nick's here. Nick, if you don't mind standing up real quick.
It's really the least I could do for everything you guys have done to me to say thank you. So it's really given me, reminded me that there are really good people still left in the world that just donate their money to help other people. I mean, it's really what this country is all about, is helping your neighbor, right? So, thank you.
We would not be a leader in the fight against cancer without partners like you. I want to thank Lon and Christy Lester. Your planning and leadership have been so critical to setting the pace and raising the bar for the American Cancer Society fundraising. And you've been supporting ACS for 20 years. We can't thank you enough. I'm very excited to be here and truly want to thank the extended Lester family for all they do for the American Cancer Society.
I want to say one more thing. On your flyer, there was a new saying on there, and it was called fleeting. And I want to read you the definition of fleeting. It says something that happens really fast, or something that doesn't last as long as you'd like. So I'm going to tell a quick little story. When I was a preteen, my uncle used to call me up and say, "Hey, Lon, you want to go fishing?" And I would say, "Sure, I would." And we'd get in the car at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd go to Caseville. He'd teach me how to catch perch. We'd catch perch, and we'd come back. And we did that several times during the year. Whenever he wanted to go rabbit hunting or whatever, he'd call me up and said, "Hey, Lon, you want to come over and do rabbit hunting?" We'd go rabbit hunting. As I got a little older, when you get to be a teenager, and I've got a daughter that's a teenager now, and I'm experiencing it firsthand, one of the reasons why she's not here, you say, "Nah, I'm not interested in that anymore," and you say, "No, I got something going," yada, yada, yada. Now, again, this is my uncle. He could have called anybody, but he called me to go fishing, right? Same with my dad. My dad, that's how I learned how to deer hunt. So we'd go up north and we'd deer hunt. And one thing about my father was his handshake. So my father's hands were very strong. When you look at them, they were a strong hand. But once you shook his hand, he said, "Listen, when you shake a man's hand, you shake it firmly. You look him in the eye, and you grab a hold of that and give him a real handshake." And he taught me that. And when he was going through treatments and so forth, I would come from work and go to Beaumont, and we'd get him in the car, and he'd go in the back seat of the car, and he'd be laying back there, and I'd shake his hand. And it was a firm handshake, but it was so soft. It was so endearing just to shake that man's hand. And I'll never forget his handshake. I'd give everything to shake that man's hand again. I'd give everything to walk down the woods with my Uncle Roy or go fishing. I know everybody in this room has that feeling. So my point being, the next time you have something too busy to do, the next time you say, "I can't do it because I got to go do this," don't do it. Do the thing you think you should do. Do the thing you should really do, right? Take that time. Take that few seconds, because you don't get it back. And it goes by really, really fast. So just remember that, all right?
There you go. That's all the time for this week. We hope you enjoyed our program. So, for our technical director, Kyle Snedge, and photographer Russell Curry, and our reporter and editor, Terry Stiles, I'm Bill Service. And you have a great, great week.